Officially charged and more counts expected. What we're learning about the Highland Park shooting investigation and a possible second attack following the 4th of July mass shooting. Plus, cutting back to conserve cash, the lengths shoppers are going to fight rising prices on kitchen staples. We do begin with breaking news. First at 4, Decatur police have arrested Rasheen Vorties for aggravated reckless driving in connection to a 2-vehicle crash in front of St. Teresa back in April. St. Teresa teacher Amber Johnson was seriously injured in that crash. Officials say the investigation has been complex and required highly technical reconstruction of events based on the known facts and evidence. Vorties is being held in the Macon County Jail on a $250,000 bond. We will have much more on the story coming up at 5. Meanwhile, authorities say the man accused of killing 7 people at a 4th of July parade in Highland Park confessed in detail to the shooting and revealed he was considering a second attack. Robert Bobby Crimeo III has been charged with 7 counts of first-degree murder. He'll likely face many more counts stemming from the dozens wounded and injured. A spokesman for the Lake County Major Crime Task Force says today that after fleeing Highland Park, Crimeo ended up in Madison, Wisconsin, and briefly thought about unleashing an attack on a 4th of July event there as well.
Investigators did develop some information that it appears when he drove to Madison, he was driving around. However, he did see a celebration that was occurring in Madison, and he seriously contemplated using the firearm he had in his vehicle to commit another shooting in Madison.
Officials say Crimeo had nearly 60 rounds with him. A judge ordered him held without bail. Now, if you're struggling to talk about or process your emotions surrounding the news of these mass shootings, you're not alone. Psychologists at Heritage Behavioral Health say negative news can upset anyone, and those with mental health issues may be struggling to process these situations. Trauma responses can be triggered, such as feeling on edge, restlessness, depressed, or having a negative outlook on the world in general, or a disassociation and hopelessness. Experts say it's important to address this trauma.
Know when you need to put your phone down or turn the TV off. The other thing I will recommend for people is that regardless of what anybody is struggling with in terms of their mental health, one of the most uniform ways to cope that works for nearly everybody is finding connections with somebody else, somebody that you feel safe. So who in your life can you talk about with regard to what's happening in the world, and who do you know understands you that can say, I hear you and I hear that you're struggling.
Experts say also go back to the basics like exercising, making sure you're eating and staying hydrated, and setting simple tasks for the day. If feelings continue for a long period of time, you should consider seeking professional help. Developing news today, a former president of Team USA softball has been accused of sex crimes with a child. Court documents outline years of alleged lewd and overtly sexual acts with a Sacramento child under the age of 14. The Sacramento County Sheriff's Office investigation so far has led to 8 felony accounts against 61-year-old John Gouveia. The alleged conduct dates back to September of 2015 and spans until November of last year. The Sheriff's Office says the defendant and victim are not related.
Well, another hot one out there in central Illinois, but we've cooled off quite a bit thanks to a few showers and even a couple of rumbles of thunder in central Illinois. Let's take you outside. Temperature-wise, notice how it is in the mid-80s right now. Not as many 90s on the board this evening, but it sure still feels like it for many of us. Yes, most of us still having that feels like temperature with that humidity factored in those 90s out there. Again, it looks okay, just doesn't feel okay. Barton Citizens building right there, Flooring America camera. Notice how we're seeing some of that sunshine that's came back after we saw some clouds and yes, even some showers and storms roll on by. As that happened, we saw some breezes pick up through the afternoon. Those breezes, though, didn't really affect our temperatures that much. Right now, those breezes have quieted down. It's still muggy out there either way you slice it, even though our high temperatures for many of us happened several hours ago. As we go through the next few hours, we'll talk about those numbers still in the 80s, the mugginess still there. We may not be out of the woods in terms of some showers and storms. That's the big focal point over the next several hours. We're going to talk about the chance of a few of those strong in nature coming up. Alyssa.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. And now to our continued coverage of ways to maximize your budget. Today, we're taking a look at some ways to save at the grocery store. Eric McLaughlin shows us how shoppers are beginning to change their habits due to skyrocketing inflation.
Across the country, shoppers are being confronted by sticker shock at the supermarket due to price jumps for staples, including bacon, eggs, and chicken.
I'm literally going to more than one store to find I just got buns somewhere else because they had a good deal.
Global conditions creating a nationwide food fight, now draining consumers' pocketbooks. The Food Industry Association, or FMI, also reporting in the first quarter of this year, consumers were spending more but buying less, with many meat eaters seeking smaller portions, with 32% saying they've stopped buying chicken, and more than a third saying they've totally cut beef from their shopping carts.
I always get my filet mignon at Trader Joe's, and it's up to like $25.99. I mean, it really jumped.
According to FMI, 86% of shoppers worried about rising prices are actively trying to save money, including looking for deals, making substitutions or product changes, changing where or how they buy groceries, or buying more store or generic brands. Personal finance experts like Gina Zakaria insist even in this inflation-fueled climate, it's possible to save.
I create menus that my family loves, and I save money every single month.
Posting tips and tricks to her nearly 2 million TikTok followers.
Really look at what you are buying every single week and find ways to optimize the things that you're buying.
What's an example of that?
I will buy 3 or 4 pounds of onions, come home, chop them all up at once in the food processor, put them in freezer bags and freeze them. Then I have onion for a month.
Experts also recommend utilizing tech to help find your go-to items at the best prices, including local grocery store apps, as well as third-party platforms such as Flip. They say shop online for the most efficient price comparison and click the in-store pickup option, saving gas and time.
Say I've had a long work day, I need to pick up dinner, I didn't plan ahead, I walk into a grocery store, what should I do to save money?
One of the greatest proteins you can get are canned beans, you can get rotisserie chicken, and then just look for frozen veggies, and you'll find that they are much less expensive.
And that was Erin McLaughlin reporting. Hitting Americans' health hard. Still to come on WAND News at 4. The data showing the real impact the pandemic has had on deaths in America. And a warning for Snapchat users. The new feature on Snap Maps that can track you down to your street address. How you can disable it. We'll be right back. COVID-19 was the third leading cause of death in the U.S. in 2021. An analysis by researchers at the National Cancer Institute found during a 20-month study period, COVID-19 accounted for 1 in 8 deaths in the United States among people ages 45 to 54. Researchers found COVID was also one of the top 5 causes of death during this period in every age group 15 years and older. The estate of an Illinois woman who died in January from a listeria infection has filed a federal lawsuit against a Florida ice cream company. Health officials have now connected that company to a listeria outbreak. The lawsuit claims that she died after eating contaminated ice cream produced by the Big Olaf Creamery in Florida. In a statement, the company says the link between its ice cream and listeria outbreak have not been confirmed.
Well, high temperatures today, not quite so brutal. 87 Decatur, 85 Springfield, 89 in Champaign. Not as many 90s, although Paris got to that 90-degree mark. We are talking about some slightly cooler air. Keyword slightly. More rain chances, though, coming around, and that could mean some strong storms as well. We'll time it all out straight ahead. Stay with us.
It's Workforce Wednesday. Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship program is once again looking for new candidates. Workforce Investment Solution is partnering with a local union. They'll host 4 different orientations to give everyone who's interested the chance to learn about all the program has to offer. Teachers say if you are interested in the trades at all, it's a great way to get your feet wet across 15 different areas.
When they go there, teachers will be available to answer the questions, but it involves theory, which is in class, and classes are held at Decatur Public Library Monday through Thursday, 9 to 2. It will have a supportive service component to help people when there's some barriers that need to be addressed. And then there will be a stipend provided while you're in class. And then the last part will be out on a job site, actually implementing some of the skills that they've learned.
There are currently 23 people enrolled in the program. It is a course designed to get you hired into a trade upon graduation from the course. The first orientation will be held tomorrow at 4 in the afternoon at the IBEW Hall in Decatur. You can find out more by calling Workforce Investment Solutions. Stranger Things 4 just became the second Netflix show to hit 1 billion hours viewed, and the sports gambling app industry is excited by growth of female users. Jane King is today's tech report.
More than 4.6 million U.S. women joined sportsbook betting apps last year, with female user rates growing 115% compared to 2020. That's according to the data analysis company GWS. Now, the number of male users still exceeds female by 250%, but the rate of men using sportsbook betting apps grew by 63% in that same time period. And the growth isn't just exclusive to women. 2021 was the biggest year for sports betting in general. Well, growth in Apple revenue from the App Store slowed in June, potentially setting up the company for a slight shortfall in its services revenue for the quarter. Citing data from the App Store tracking service Sensor Tower, softness in downloads from China were the problem. And users of the popular social media app Snapchat have been warned of what they're calling a creepy update. The update allows people on Snapchat to locate users down to their street address and even tells users how long it would take them to get there. The Snapchat update can be disabled by selecting Ghost Mode in the application settings. And Stranger Things 4, the most recent season of the hit show, just became the second Netflix show ever to surpass 1 billion hours viewed. That makes Stranger Things 4 the second most watched Netflix season ever after Squid Game last year. From the NASDAQ market site, I'm Jane King with your tech report.
Well, hot and muggy once again as we're looking at that nasty heat in place still yet. You'll notice outside doesn't look too bad, but boy, it feels nasty. Temperature-wise, we're in the mid-80s for most of us across the area. Now, that's not quite as brutal as we'd seen the last several days, but it still is quite muggy out there. As I mentioned, those feels like temperatures are still in the 90s for many of us feeling like near the triple digits. 99 for that feels like in Lincoln, 96 Decatur. Notice how the 24-hour temperature change does show that we have temperatures cooler than this time yesterday by about 10 degrees. But the deal is that's primarily because of a few showers and storms that we saw earlier across a few parts of central Illinois. And of course, that cloud cover that's been in place. Here's that look at satellite and radar, and you'll notice how some of that has moved on through. Now, here's the deal with this. We actually did have a funnel cloud get reported near Menard County, near Ashland. That was about an hour ago. Otherwise, though, it's been relatively quiet. That much needed rain for many parts of central Illinois, really needing that rain. We'll take what we can get, right? And I think we might get some more of it. The problem is a couple of these storms could be on the strong to severe side. We've got a stationary front parked right across us, and when that happens, we've got cool and warm air masses sort of just pushing and tugging up against each other. And on top of that, a little piece of energy off to the west, causing some showers into parts of Missouri and Iowa. That's coming our direction too. So it could mean some much needed rainfall over the next 24 hours, but it can also mean some lively storms. Storm Prediction Center has central Illinois in the marginal risk. That is level 1 out of 5 for pretty much most of the viewing area tonight. And it's the same story as we look ahead to Thursday as well, that marginal risk. And this is for a chance of some strong severe storms tonight into tomorrow. So as we're watching all of that I mentioned coming our direction, not only that moisture in place by that front, but also that piece of energy off to our west. Yeah, we could see some of this. The ingredients are there that we could see some of this fire off severe in nature. Going to low risk overall, some wind, some hail. It certainly is not out of the question that if you get a thunderstorm over your neck of the woods, some flash flooding could happen very quickly. There's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, so that's not out of the question. Again, that chance starting tonight will go, I think the closer we get to midnight, the better chance of that, certainly during the overnight hours and into tomorrow. 74, the overnight low with those storms after midnight. Tomorrow we'll talk about temperatures not quite as brutal, so we are going to start seeing some relief from this heat, but keyword some. We'll see how that actually pans out as we look through the next several days. Notice how there's that chance on Futurecast of those showers and storms, especially I mentioned during the morning hours. There's 8 a.m. tomorrow. Notice how, again, some of that possibly heavy, locally heavy at times, some of that rainfall that could happen. So some of us will certainly get wet from this as we go through the next little bit. And another chance of this comes around into Friday as well. So we could see some decent rainfall for many parts of the area who are really sitting on a borderline drought situation. So we'll continue to keep you up to date on that. In terms of the sweat scale, that moisture here, we are still into the miserable category Thursday and Friday. And we're not done yet as we do look at some of those heat indices, those feels like temperatures, both still into those 90s the next couple of days. So that mugginess still certainly there. 7-day looks like this. There's those 90-degree temperatures with those chances of rain. At least a little relief in terms of those temperatures on the way. Alyssa.
All right, thank you, Jesse. Building strong mental mindsets, how you can teach the value of hope at a young age. That's when we come back. You know, so many troubling events happening in our country. Children may be feeling the effects on their mental health. Child psychologists say there are some ways to train kids to be mentally strong. Hope is the leading energizer for most kids. Research shows hopefulness can dramatically reduce anxiety and depression. Helping your child understand how to be hopeful and teaching the value of hope can build an inner sense of control. You can do this by stopping negativity in the moment, using hopeful mantras often, teaching brainstorming techniques, sharing hopeful news often, and celebrating small gains. Free outdoor fitness is coming to Comer Cox Park in Springfield next week. It's a gym that allows people to use their own body weight for a complete workout, using 7 exercise stations. The outdoor gym is available for those 14 and over with all abilities in mind. There are adaptable workouts for all fitness levels as well. The park officially opens Monday. Summer is a notoriously busy moving season and high rent prices often reflect that, but prices are reflecting a cool down compared to the same time last year. In some places, rent is even going down rather than up. The top cities seeing rent reduction include Tallahassee, Florida, Anchorage, Alaska, Honolulu, San Diego, and Syracuse, New York. Well, it's been another hot day, but thunderstorms could bring us a little break from the heat. Jesse times out our chance for showers when we come back. You know, it's still hot out there today, but I feel like at least it's a little bit less oppressive than yesterday.
It is. It really is. Temperature is not quite as brutal, primarily due to that cloud cover and a few showers and storms that we saw. Could be talking about a few showers and storms on the lively side. Notice how we look at those humid conditions moving forward. They lighten up, thankfully, at least some. At least there's not as many 90s in that forecast. But as we go overnight into tomorrow, we may talk about some strong to severe storms not out of the question for us, especially during the overnight and morning hours tomorrow. So we're going to continue to keep you up to date on that. I'm just excited, Alyssa, to be not seeing as many 90s there.
Absolutely. I was going to say, if we needed any more reason to look forward to the weekend, that forecast is
right.
it.
Exactly.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks to all of you for joining us. We're back at 5. Have a great night.